Hi, this is Piotr from Blocworx, and in this video I'm going to show the Blocworx structure and how to start working with our software. Blocworx is a no-code web platform, and you can find more information about it on www.blocworx.com. To starting work with our software, you should receive your own instance and the login details. And after logging into the system, you should be able to see no data on the home page, the menu on the left side and the heading at the top. The menu on the left side may look differently depending on the user who is logging into the system. The admin will have access to all the menu, where some basic user may have access just to a few of them, mostly the home page and the logout. As you can see, our software, there is a heading on the top where you can switch the skin. The menu is on the left side and can give you access to the different pages, and the main content on the screen is a page where you can add your own modules. So after building the system, it may look differently. You can also add logo, and you can also change the heading as well, and changing the logo on the heading. You may also have some other pages on the menu, like a model packages with some pre-built software and help and tutorials that may be helpful to start working with the system. However, on your homepage, you probably will see no content yet, and you can start working with the content, being an admin or having the permissions to edit by pressing the green strap, which is available on every page on the very bottom, and switching this tab, you're going into the edit mode. And in the edit mode, you can start editing the content, as I said, no matter what page or module or what block you are. Before we go to overview of the structure, I would like quickly just go through the admin panel and show how to create the new users. So going into the admin panel, you can see options available for admins where you can add and manage profiles and users, manage roles and permissions, and do other things like mail alerts or edit theme. To start adding the new users or adding the existing one, you can press on the Manage Profiles users, and here you can see the list of existing system users. At this moment it's only me here as a role of admin. And to start adding a new user, you can press on the Create New User button, and here you can provide the full name of the user, then the username that will be used for logging in, and the password. The password should contain uppercase, lowercase, number, and 2 symbols. And I can try to save. And if the password is incorrect, the system will give information what the password should look like, and should be at least 8 characters long as well. We can also give the user a role, and there are 2 preset roles, sample role and supervisor in this case. And also you can add the permissions directly to the specific user, making him a full admin or giving one of the permissions that are available. We get an alert that the user has been added, and after refreshing the screen, we have the new user in the list. We can, of course, preview this user, change details, and also delete the profile. Here is a second option where we can set up the roles and permissions. So basically here we can create a new role, give the role name, and set up the permissions for the specific role. So we have our new role here. And now we have a new group of users. So creating the new user, we have the new role available here. So this way we can create a group of users and adding a new type of users to the system, we can just quickly select their role, and all the permissions assigned to the role will be assigned to the user, as well as the system elements like modules or blocks. We can set up access to the specific blocks to the roles, and every user with the role will automatically have access to the specific blocks and modules. One more thing that I would like quickly just to show from the administration panel is also how to edit theme. Here, pressing this option, we have access to alerts reports, but here we can change the logo and the background on the system, so we can change easily some elements on the screen from the admin panel to adjust some view of the system. Now I would like just to go to the overview of the Blocworx structure. So this is where our content will go. As you can see, there can be a modules or a structure with different elements, and as example here we have the sections, which are just helpful for navigations, and inside these sections we have our content. In Blockworx, the content is pulled from 3 main elements, which are links, subpages, and modules. I'll go now to our blank page, and I'm start editing the home page to adding the different elements. So I'm switching to the edit mode, and here I can start working with the home page. To start adding the elements, I have to create a section. After I have my section created, on the right side of the section I have a button which allows me to add my elements to the sections. I can of course add in the section's name or delete it. So here are the 3 elements that I can add: subpage, new module, on the URL or the URL link. We can start with the subpage, which is something like a folder on our page. So basically, adding the subpage, I can give the page name, select role of the user which have access to this page. I can have open access as well, so everyone will have access to this page. I can select one of the icons available to assign and press submit. So here is my subpage created on the page area. So if I go back to the front end, here I can see my first element, which is a page, and to recognize the subpage is the square symbol at the bottom right corner of the subpage button. So the square is telling me that this is a subpage. So basically when I open it on a home page, I have a subpage, and I can start creating another content on the subpage, so it's kind of like a folder. We can also move the subpage to the menu. So basically again, I can switch to the edit mode, and I can go to the edit page details. I can put some heading on the page as well, and here is include on the side menu. I can select yes, submit the changes and refresh the page. And now I have the page also available on the menu on the left side. So now I can access it from the home page, or I can access this straight of the menu. I can also remove the page from the home screen and still have access to this page from the menu as well. Switching back to the edit mode, I'd like to present another element, which will be a link. The link can be to any external page, or it can be also to the internal page of the system. So basically I can give a link to any module or block from my own Blockworks system. Like, let's say we'll go to the model packages, basic inventory system, and let's say I would like to have a quick access to receiving shipment. So I can select this block, copy URL link, go to the home page again, switch to the edit mode, add the URL link. I can paste the copied link here, select icon. Again, I can add roles as well. And switch to front end. So now, if I press on the link, it will redirect me directly to the receiving shipment from the inventory module. And as I said, the link can be also to the external page. So I'll create again a new URL link. And now, pressing on the link, I will be redirected to the external page. So the recognized link on the homepage, you can see the symbol of arrow on the bottom right corner of the button. Same like the square is for the page, the subpage. Here is the little triangle or arrow on the links. So the last element is the main element, is the module itself. So module is our app, and module is a bundle of blocks. So here on the model packages, we can see there is a few modules already pre-built, like the inventory system, people management system, procedures tracker, quality records package, or some other modules. And the module, as I said, is a bundle of blocks. And the blocks can be a different type of elements, like a database, entry form, and we will discuss the blocks in a moment. So to create the module, again I have to switch to the edit mode, and in my section I can add another element, add new module. So again I give the module name, assign the category to the module, and add the icon. So now I have my new module created. Just quickly to explain as well, here in the admin and development, I have the option to manage all my modules which I have in the system. I can have the modules on different pages, but here I can access to all the modules. And here is where I can create and add the new categories. So at this moment, I have just created a new module, and the new module is on my list. And I can filter by categories and add the new categories of the modules here as well. But that's to manage the modules from the admin panel. So again, going to the home page, I have my new module created. So I can open the new module, and at the moment the new module is blank. There is no blocks inside the module. So we can now start creating the blocks inside the module. Again, switch to the edit mode. Being in the module, I have a view of different options of the module. I will just quickly go through them. There is options to generate the block from another block for admins. I can edit the module location page, so I can basically move the module to the different pages or subpages. I can edit the module details, put some specific information. I can import blocks from another module. This is very handy if I have some templates created. I can upload associated files to the module, like pictures or attachments or SOPs. I can also make this module available to the child instances, and this is a bit more complicated. Basically, I can have instance and I can have a child instances to control my customers. And of course I can delete the module from here. To add the new blocks and section, I have to press on the plus symbol of the top block and sections strap. And here inside the module, I can also create the sections for easier navigation, but inside the module, it's not necessary to have the sections. The sections are just helpful for navigation if I have a lot of blocks. Here will be the example of the inventory system. I have a system blocks and I have a process blocks. So basically the system blocks won't be available to any basic users. I can see them because I'm a system admin. So we don't have to add any section. We can go straight away to create the block. And of course we can restructure this after, so we can create sections and move the blocks that we have already created to the sections later. So I create a new block. I can select the icon to the block. And here I have a new block created. So if I switch front end, you can see I have my first block in the module. So again, home page, I open the new module and I have access to my new block. The block by default is built from entry form, which is blank at the moment because I didn't create any fields yet. Then I have the results, block counts, which is a basic pivot, advanced report, import and export data. So all these elements are available straight away in the block without any coding, without any linking to the tables or anything. So again, being in the block, we can go now to the edit mode, and in the edit mode, here is my entry form, which I can start adding the elements, and then will be a block settings, and we will discuss the block settings in a moment. First of all, I can create different layout of my entry form. So the entry form can be on the left side with the result on the right, or I can use the full width, and at this case my entry form will be a full length on the top and the results will be on the bottom. But we'll start with the basic layout. So we can add a new row, and the row, it's kind of a grid. So before we start adding the elements in our block, we can create a grid, and this is very handy in the full width layout. So I can pre-design how I would like to have a space for my blocks. So if I create my grid, I can start adding the fields to the block. And when I add the fields, it always starts with the default text field. But there is a lot of the different type of fields, which we will discuss one by one in another video. So we can start with the text field. We can give the text field name. We can select how the data we are going to capture. It can be a mixed case or it can be uppercase. If we want to make sure that users who are using scanners, when they scan and they always capture the information in the uppercase, we can set up also the default value that will be available straight away. So I have created my first text field. Now I can go to another grid element and I can add another field. In this case, I would like to add, let's say, drop down from list. So in the drop down, I can start adding options. So I can also put the default value if I like. So now I have a text field, a drop down, and in the last one, let's say I can add multi buttons. I can add some buttons, and the colors for the buttons will appear automatically. So if I switch to the front end, I have my entry form ready. So I have the text field to input data. I have a drop down with my selections, and I have multi-buttons. So after pressing submit, I can see the data on the bottom. So this is my preview of my records. So let's add a few more records. So my entry form, my records, and then there are elements on the system which are available straight away to use. First of all, a standard user can undo last entry. So if the basic user will make an error entering the data, he can always have options to undo the last record and add it again. There are options also to preview the records, because as you can see, here is the few columns at the moment, but I can have a large form with a lot of data. So here is a module with a lot of entry fields. So this is the basic layout, not the full width, where my entry form is on the left side. And here is columns on the right side. So now you can see I have only 5 records on my result table, but if I press show more, I can see all the data here. There is option to edit the data as well, and this option can be a permission, so not every user will have access to editing the data from the list. And update of all the records. So basically, on my right side, I have always the show more icon, the eye icon, that allows me to preview the data. And then there is a special access to editing any of the records from the list. So below the entry form, where is my result data, I have available options straight away. So I can basically export all data to the Excel file. So here is my report. In the Excel report by default, I have a timestamp and user ID. This can be hidden from the report. Then is content of my form, of my fields. And then there is a separately timestamp and the date stamp for the reports filtering. So this is the standard report, and of course it can be edited to show only specific elements. What else I can do with my data straight away? I can also filter it. So I can search by a specific data. So this way I can find a specific record, or I can filter by specific field as well. So I can select, for example, my drop down and filter specifically by value from the drop down. So I can see only the sections 2 now. I can do the same with the buttons, and I can mix the filters, so I can add multiple filters to find a specific value on the screen. And of course I can export the filtered data as well. So here is the report with the filtered data only. The last option is to delete the all data, and this is again only for admins, and it need provide the user password to confirm deleting all data. So that's not available for every user. Going forward, we're going to the counts, where is something similar to very basic pivot function of Excel. So I can select my fields and see the counter of records. So for example, here for the drop-down section, I can see my selection from my records. Section 2 is twice, 1 and 3 is just one record. So I can see here section 2, 2 records, section 1, 3, only 1 records. For buttons, I have 2 for 3 and 1 for button 1, button 2. So again, and the text fields on this page, each record is different, so it's 1 for each one. So basically, if I add another one, records, the data is automatically updated. So the button 2 is now 3 records, and the button 3 is now 2 records. So this is handy, for example, if I'm having a block like packing boxes or packing units to the pallets, boxes to the pallets, or something in the warehouse, where I can preview straight away how many scans I have on box or on pallet. So this is available straight away without any coding, same as the filtering. And then we have the advanced reports section, where I can create a specific report. So now there are 2 different types of reports, raw data and the smart reports. So I can select only the specific field I want to use in my report, like a drop-down, user ID and date stamp. I can select the period of the time where I want to generate the report. And I can get the report, which will be filtered by the selected data. And the last option, straight available into the block, is to import the data. So to import the data, I can generate a template which will pre-build me a blank Excel file. So I can now put my data into the file and then select the file and import the data to my block. So I switch to the edit mode again now, and I'd like to show another options. So I can switch my layout to the compact view, and here I can move the fields around to adjust the layout. So now I have the same form with the entry form on the left side and the results on the right side. And there is a few options available. So I can add another row and I can create another type of grid for more elements. So I can add a text field. Now I have divided my row into the 2 parts, so I can fit the text in the 2 columns. And if I would like to create more text fields, I can easily use a duplicate and move them by drag and drop. So I can duplicate fields. Of course, I can move the fields between the elements as well. And the field will automatically reshape to the size of the element. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 entry fields in my form, and by default I can see only 5 columns of my data result. But again, switching to the edit mode, I have more options available in the block settings. So before I go through each of them, I would like to go to the settings, which is for preview of the data on my columns. So as you can see, I have 7 fields at the moment, and I see only 5 of them. So I can include the text field 4 and text field 5 as well by extending the number of fields that can appear. So now I can see all my 7 fields. I can also change the order if I would like to play around which order they appear in my data preview. Then I have options also to hide some specific fields on mobiles or on tablets because of the screen size of the mobile devices is smaller. So here I switch back to the front end, and now as you can see I have all my fields in the columns. But as I said, if there was 20 or 30 or more fields, the data preview will look very messy with so many columns. That's why we have a specific control to what we want to see, and then if we want to see all the data, we can use the preview buttons as well. So I would like just quickly to go through the block settings. First is the basic settings where I can change the block name, sections. If I create more section, I can move to the different sections, the block here. I can change icon, upload some documents, and disable the block to not be available to be used, but will be still containing the data in the system. Functional behavior settings, where I can hide some elements on the screen if I don't want to use it, and different elements that will be discussed on another video. Another section that I would like to explain is the layout and visibility. I can hide and show elements on my screen and on my entry form, and I can change the button names like the submit button, update, delete, and I can hide the buttons as well, so I can create a form that will be displaying only data like some type of report. Another options is the data display settings. We are still developing this part, looking to give a different type of data view in the future, like a Kanban or a Gantt chart. At the moment we can just hide the data table or show it as a list of entries. There are other settings where I can, for example, hide the timestamps in the data or in the reports as well. Here is the control of the table, which is the most important at the moment now for any user who are creating the blocks. And here is another important option, which is the user restricted data. So I can set the restrictions. Let's say if a specific user will log into the system and enter the data, he can see only their own data. He won't be able to see data of the other users. Template reports is another powerful function where I can create a specific type of report, creating a template in Word. So I can create PDF or template reports in a specific graphic option. This will be discussed in another video as well. Block user and role access. So this is where I can add the specific role. So as I explained before, we can create a different type of group of users in the system, like a sample role, supervisor, and the new role that we have created in this video. So I can assign the block to a specific role. So only users with the supervisor role will have access to this block. I can make this block available to anybody as well. And here I can assign a specific user to the block. So if at the moment there is only me in the system, but if I have a lot of different users, I can assign the specific user to the block. But if I have the role already assigned to the block, I can create a user, give the user a role and he will have access to all the block with the role straight away. There is also options for automated mail settings and alerts, list of field slugs, and much more. All the settings are also explained in our Blockworx documentation available at manual.blockworx.com. Just a few words now about the fields. So we can assign different rules and parameters to our fields. Basically, if I have my entry form, I can press the submit button and I can add data that are blank. I have a different options to control how to add the data. Like I would like to avoid duplicates. I would like to make some fields mandatory. So again, I go to the edit mode and I will quickly assign some rules to the fields. So I move my mouse cursor onto the specific field I want to add the rules. And here is a list of all my rules. There is plenty of rules that can do a lot of things in the blocks and between the blocks. So first of all, for the text field, I would like to have no duplicates. So I set up a rule max allowed duplicates, by default 1. So I want to make sure that there is only one duplicate. But I would like to ignore if there is blank data. So I would like to ignore an ace. So here is my rule set to the text field. Now on the drop down and multi button, I would like to make the fields mandatory. So again, rules for a drop down cannot be empty. Rules for the multi button cannot be empty as well. And let's say the text field, I want to make this field mandatory as well. So now if I try to press submit, the system will give me the information that I have some empty or unselected fields and they are required to select. Buttons, text field. So now I have submitted the data and I have the fields required with the data on my result. So again, I won't be able to submit the data without the mandatory fields. Here for the text field 1, I have set up the rule to not allow duplicates. So this is handy for serial numbers, for example, where I want to make sure that I haven't scanned twice the same product using barcodes, for example. So here, if I put the data that I have already on my list and I press enter, the maximum number of entries for this field is 1. Same if I will be trying to force it by submit. It won't allow me to submit the data because it already exists. Of course, I can make the alerts by my own. So again, switch to the edit mode. Rules. I can edit the existing one and I can add a custom rule respond. So I can set this data already exists in the system. Update rule. So now there is my own alert that appear on the alerts area when I'm trying to enter the data that already exists. There is different type of alerts as well. There is a yellow alerts that display the information on the screen. I can actually quickly show this one as well. So I can select yellow warning. So now if I try to scan the data that already exists, I have the yellow alert, but the yellow alert still allows me to confirm and submit it. So that's something that it's not stopping me to enter the data, but giving me the information that the data already exists on the screen. So now I have entered the data after the alert appear on the screen. Beside the rules settings for the fields, we have also the parameters. Again, all the parameters will be discussed in a different video, but there is a lot of parameters that allows me to hide the fields on the screen but remain functional. So I can create some system fields and I don't want them to be visible on the form. I can hide them because there is a different type of fields, like a system fields that are doing some functions but they don't have to be visible on the screen. I can hide them from the results or from the mail alerts or from the Excel reports. So I can select some fields and make sure they are not appearing in the mail alerts or on the Excel reports. Here I can hide some of the fields from the mobiles or tablets as well. There is a bunch of roles that trigger the roles and the functional fields in a different specific criteria. I have another bunch of options that allows me to use fields to filter data by users, for example, who enter the data into the form. I can get the last values, or I can prevent data from being saved. I can hide the labels of the fields to make the form more compact. So there is plenty of different parameters to set up. There is a conditional value or conditional visibility. So it allows me, for example, to show a fields after I press a button or things like this. There is a dynamic data as well. So dynamic data is basically changing the value at some specific time or after midnight. So for example, there may be a field which is counting the dates from when the data was entered. This is handy for forms like calibration certificates. So I can have a field that will be counting the days after I have added the calibration certificate and create an email report that will send the information when the certificate is going to expire. Or training records. I can set up alerts for users that need to be retrained for every half year or things like this. And different language. I can give the names in different languages to the fields as well. So as I said, the type of fields, all the type of fields, all the roles and all the fields parameters will be explained in a different video.
There is one more functionality worth to mention at the start, which is automated reports. And to get into them, I have to open a module. And under my blocks, I have automated report tabs. And when I extend this tab, I can see the settings for my automated reports. First, I can select my blocks, and the blocks will appear in a separate sheets in the report. At my example, I have only one block, so I can select just this block. In another step, I can select what data from the block I want to use in my report, what fields. So again, I can just select few of them. And then are the settings for the mail address or addresses to where I want to send the report. Another parameter is the data time frame for what data I want to use in the report. Is it the data from previous day, for last 7 days, for previous month, or all data that are in the block? So I can select the frame for the data. Type of the report. So I want to have a raw data or a smart report. Just to remind, the smart report is kind of a basic pivot which gives a mutual value for selected fields, and it's working only with few fields. But the raw data is like the most popular, which is just displaying all data in the columns. And the frequency for the report, how often I want to have it. Daily every morning, weekly every Monday morning, weekly every Friday morning, or monthly on the first day of each month. So in this setting, I have data from previous month sent every month on the first day of each month. So this type of report can be handy for invoices, for example. Then I'll just give the mail subject, which I will see in my mailbox when I receive the automated reports. And I can add the report. I have also options to edit the report if I like. So I can change the time frame and how often I will receive it. And I can also delete the reports. The automated reports are available straight away without any coding. So that would be a basic overview of the Blockworks system and its structure. And I hope this video will be helpful to start using it and create various modules, blocks and forms. And for more information, please check our links in the description of this video and check our other videos. Thank you, bye now.